So please state your name and your branch of service.
My name is Arthur Sutherland. I was in the United States Air Force from October of 1947 until August of 1951.
All right. So where were you born?
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. You want the date?
You don't have to if you don't want
Okay.
to. All right. And then where did you go to high school?
I went to high school at the High School of Commerce
Oh.
in Boston.
All right. And how old were you when you enlisted?
I enlisted on my 17th birthday. My parents signed for me, which was a must back then. Or you had to wait till you were 18, and then you could get in on your own.
And after you were enlisted, where'd they put you for basic?
Well, I went to basic training in Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, for 3 months. We went 7 weeks before we got a 12-hour pass to go in to San Antonio, and had time to walk on the river walk and see the Alamo, and that was it. And then back to basic training, and that's all we saw of San Antonio was 12 hours in the 3 months I was there.
So after you went to Lackland, where did you go? Where did they send you?
Okay, I know this is running. After Lackland, I went to Chanute Air Force Base. It's about 90 miles south of Chicago. I was there for 3 months, and then I got orders to ship overseas. So I went out to Hamilton Air Force Base in north of San Francisco, and from there I went to Tokyo via a 2-week ship ride through rough waters, and landed in Japan in June the 4th of 1948, and was quite surprised at seeing a country that was devastated during the war. Okay.
So you landed in Japan in 1948, and you were stationed in Tokyo. So what did you do in Tokyo?
I worked at an IBM branch of the Air Force called Stat Control. I did that for a couple of months, and then I went into Officers Branch of Personnel. I worked there as a clerk, and then I finally got transferred out to the Tokyo International Airport, which was Haneda Air Force Base, working as a A&E mechanic. And I did that for 1 year, and then the war started in Korea in June of 1950.
Was it really apparent? Did things seem to shift a lot when Korea started?
Yeah, it was a different ball game all of a sudden. Everybody got serious about everything. Japan, the occupation was kind of great. It was real easy, a lot of fun, you know. And then all of a sudden, that was the end of that. We had to go to war now, and like I say, everything got real serious. And
yeah. So when did you land in Korea?
so I landed in Korea on the 17th or 18th of September of 1950, as soon as the Marines had taken Kimpo Air Force Base during the Incheon invasion. And I was stationed there, and we worked out of there. I've been up in North Korea twice, and then I got hurt in December of 50, and I came back to Japan in the 49th General Hospital in Tokyo, and I spent 6 weeks there. And I got out and went back to my air base down in Kyushu, that's down in the Southern Island. And I was there for 2 weeks, and I was deathly sick day after day after day after day, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and they couldn't pinpoint it at the dispensary until finally they figured out I had hepatitis, and I was sent to a hospital up in Kyoto. There was 1,200 of us in there, Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marines. And I spent 3 months in the hospital there, and it was 2.5 months as a bed patient, and then 2 weeks ambulatory, and then I was released. And so.
All right. So after you landed in Korea, what kind of work were you doing in Korea?
What we were doing, I was a load master, and we unloaded the aircrafts that were coming in with supplies for the Marines to take Seoul. All kinds of ammunition, sea rations, clothing, and then would fly the wounded out after we finished unloading the airplanes. And this went on we didn't have big generators and everything there, so we didn't have lights, but we worked from sun up to sundown. And it was 12, 13 hours a day straight. And it didn't end. The airborne troopers were stationed at Kimpo. They were making a big drop up in North Korea, and all the troopers took off from Kimpo in C-119 flying boxcars, along with all their supply airplanes. And when they flew over first, the supply airplanes, and then the troopers took off in the C-119s. I've never seen so many airplanes in the sky at one time in my whole life. It was just ominous. And we, as soon as they landed in North Korea, we flew in with supplies to fly wounded out, but they didn't. They only had one fellow that broke his leg when he landed, and the enemy was nowhere in sight. So then the second time up in North Korea was to evacuate a fighter squadron up outside of Pyongyang, and we were up there sleeping in tents at night. It was 10 below zero. There was no heat whatsoever. And we stayed for 3 days and got the job done. And when we took off, the Chinese were coming over the hills. You could see them from 200 or 300 yards away. There's thousands of them. And our airplane was the last one to take off. And we had about 7 bullet holes in it, but nothing was critical. Critically was it didn't hurt the airplane whatsoever. So
yeah. So where were you in North Korea? You're above the 38th parallel.
Oh yes, we were about 15 miles out east of Pyongyang, the capital city.
Oh wow! So you were really in North Korea.
Yeah, we were. We really were. And then I came back, and I was involved in a Jeep accident, and I was flown back to Tokyo, and so that was my end of my duty in Korea, and I spent the rest of my time all in Japan until I came home. Mm-hmm. Altogether, I spent 3 years and 3 months overseas, and I had my 18th, 19th, and 20th birthday over there, and I was 2 months short of 21 when I got discharged.
Did you ever have any issues with your the other people you were with because you're younger?
Not really. I never, paid any attention to them. There was pressure on us, but I grew up in Boston, and kind of a tough part of the city, and I was used to that, and so they left me alone pretty much.
All right, and when you came out, you married your wife, and now you have 7 kids.
Oh, a year after I came, I was discharged. I met my wife, and we went together for 2 years and got married, and moved down to Connecticut, lived there for 15 years, And we have 7 children. They were all born in the same hospital, and the same doctor delivered all 7 of them. And today I have 13 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. So my wife and I are responsible for 25 people. Direct blood, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very proud of them. The kids are all doing great. And all of the older ones have gone through college already.
Good. Alrighty. The end. Oop.